welcome in. Thanks for joining us today. I'm your host, Siva. If you're new here, welcome in. If we're besties already, welcome back. I appreciate you. I was inspired to make today's episode just by noticing old tendencies within myself and noticing kind of what motivates other people. I feel like a lot of the self-help industry is around because people walk around feeling a void. For whatever reason, we feel incomplete and we're always searching for that one thing that we think might be able to make us complete. We walk around trying to fill this inner void. We think that people will fill it, places, experiences, friendships, romantic partners. And a lot of the times what ends up happening is we get the money, we get the family, we get the romantic partner, and we realize, oh, well, that didn't actually do anything. And so one of two things happens. Either you say, okay, I must need more money. I must need more partners. And you say, okay, I just need more. Or you realize, oh, this is actually not fulfilling to me. Now I don't know what to do with life. Life might even be pointless, which takes you down a whole other rabbit hole. If you go with the former of, okay, I must need more and more, when you eventually get more and more, you end up with the latter of ending up in this situation, okay, what actually is going on here? Or you stay stuck in that chase period for your entire life of just constantly chasing things that feel just out of reach. No one wants to be in any of those situations. So why do we keep ourselves there? But the void we feel is so strong that it guides us to do anything to fill it. So the question becomes, what is this void that we feel? Is it possible to fill it in a way that serves us? And how can we do that? The root question is, how can we feel complete on our own and start coming from completeness? That's what today's podcast episode is going to be all about. We're going to dive deep into this terrible feeling that you feel as lack, how you can feel abundance and feeling yourself instead of that, and what it means to actually feel fulfilled and feel complete within yourself so that you can start coming from your completion instead of always seeking to fill a void. I mentioned this was kind of inspired by my past self and seeing other versions of myself, aka other people. Yesterday, I realized my past self in high school, I always had this void, and I attached the feeling of acceptance to getting approval really specifically from one person. And I would chase around like this one person, and I would literally be looking for this person. Are they in the room? Are they around? Is it possible to get in conversation with them so I could maybe get a hit of approval like a drug or something? I have even had nightmares of like searching for this person around, which is hilarious. And I realized it has nothing to do with that other person, but it had something to do with the feeling of lack that I felt within myself and doing everything that I could to bring that feeling to a halt, whether it be a hit of the drug of that person or a hit of something else, alcohol or something to suppress your feelings. The feeling of the void is so strong that it drives us to do insane things that aren't really naturally us, things that are out of character from our true nature. But it's not because we're doing things just to hurt ourselves. It's because the void that we feel is so strong that it consumes us and consumes our behavior. I was contemplating my happy opposite of that behavior, which we'll get deep into this later. But it's turning on your magnetism, which we'll get deep into this later, and I've talked about it in other episodes. But the opposite of coming from lack and seeking in this way to me is having your own personal magnetism, feeling so amazing in your own body from the tips of your toes to the crown of your head, that not only do you just feel good and feel complete within yourself, you feel whole, but you actually start to attract effortlessly what you want because the thing that you want just can't resist you. You're irresistible now because of the vibration that you're putting out from your completeness. And we'll dive right into that good stuff. But I really want to get to the problem here so that we can solve it. Because if you don't understand a problem fully, you can never solve it. Part of what made me think about this problem that we as a collective have is talking to someone who just went through a breakup. It was like, I went through a breakup, I couldn't get out of bed, and, I downloaded Tinder. I don't know how I'm going to do this. I don't know how I'm going to do that. I know this is how so many people feel about dating. Like, it's this task, you have to endure it. And if you describe anything like that, let me ask you, why are you doing it? You would think there was like a gun to your head. You have to find a partner or else. And it's like this whole thing of suffering, but actually for what? The void that people have within themselves is so strong that it sends them on this endless path of trying to find another person to complete them. And if you're not even enjoying your process of dating, how is that ever going to attract a person that makes you feel happy in your daily life? If you're just like trudging through, like you have to endure this person, you have to sit in a coffee shop with this person for an hour, it's the most miserable experience of your life. How are you expecting to build a lifetime with anyone coming from this attitude? But the key here is that's not the mentality that they're coming from. Most of the time, we're not aware that we're coming from the mentality of, I have this lack, I have a problem, and I have to fix it. And once I fix it, then I can feel good. And the problem is this scenario, this formula never works. I feel bad one day, someday out in the future, when I accomplish my goal, then I can finally allow myself to feel good, to feel okay. This is what I call playing the if only game. If only I had a partner, then I could feel love. If only I lost the weight, then I could accept myself. If only I had a cute little puppy, then I could be happy. Obviously, when we talk about it like this, it doesn't make sense, but it's kind of how we pattern our behavior and we look for solutions from the outside. But if you're waiting until one day to feel happy, I'm telling you, that day is never going to come. You can never experience something outside of the here and now. So if you don't have it here and now at some level, you're not going to be able to experience it ever. And obviously there's degrees, but if you can't allow yourself to feel something in the here now, if it's a totally inaccessible feeling to you now, there's no way that you're going to be able to get it one day in the future. What do I mean by this? If you can't feel even the slightest sensation of love within yourself, you're not going to be able to attract that. If you can't feel even the slightest ounce of success within yourself, you're not going to be able to achieve that, because what we attract is based off of our vibrational frequency, and you can't attract anything that's not a vibrational match to you. So maybe you've heard people say like, oh, if you want to attract love, you have to love yourself. And that's exactly what we're getting at here. As long as you're coming from lack, as long as you're coming from the void, the only thing that you are going to attract is things that make the void even stronger. It's why when you seek a partner, when you're coming from lack, that partner that you attract always brings out the worst within you, and it makes your void even stronger. You never attract wholesome people coming from lack. It always amplifies how you feel alone. It always amplifies the darkness because you're coming from that darkness, that lack, that void. The success is literally in the seed of something. If you are going out into the world because you feel fear, because you feel lack, of course, that's what you're going to end up getting and finding. But when you start to come from love, when you start to come from joy, you're going to start to attract things that magnify that. It works the other way around too. Anywhere in your life where you're using the formula, I need X in order to be X, you need to take a pause and take a deep look at what you are setting yourself up for. Void mentality always tells you, I need this in order to be okay. I'm without this, and once I get this, I can be happy. I'm not good enough as I am now. When I do this, maybe then I'll be good. I'm telling you, when you come from void mentality, it never stops. You'll get the plastic surgery. You won't feel that great. You'll lose the weight. You still want to lose more. You'll find the partner. It still didn't really fulfill you. You still feel unloved. This is a really good thing though. Because when you're living from the void, it's not nearly as fulfilling as when you're living from love. So of course, you get to experience the result of living from the void so that you can really appreciate living from love and you can feel the difference. When you live from the void, the thought pattern is something is always missing, something is always wrong. If it's not one thing, it's another. As soon as you solve one problem, it's literally on to the next. And when you live in this way, nothing is ever complete. Yet, when you live from completion, everything's always complete, yet you're still solving problems because you're wanting to improve every area of your life. But now you're not improving it out of fear or out of sadness, but you're experiencing excitement. The next level is you're wanting to level up because it's exciting, because it's fun to have a challenge in your life, not because, oh, you're going to die alone if you don't. If you look at people who have achieved amazing things in life, they're not constantly pushing themselves because they have something to prove to someone. They have a deadline. They need to make a certain amount of money to pay rent. It's because literally the fun is in them experiencing the challenge. The fun is in growing their skill set, becoming a better version of themselves. Of course, we're never going to be complete in the sense of, okay, there's nothing to work on. I don't want to do anything anymore. I mean, I got the good job. I got the money. I have the partner. Now that I have all that stuff, I can just sit on the couch. It never works like that too. And when you think about void mentality, it's always like, okay, I've got to get that job. I've got to get that partner. But the part it doesn't acknowledge is, okay, now that you've got the job, now that you've got the partner, how are we going to maintain this? And not only just maintain, keep your partner around, keep your partner from leaving you, but actually have a really good, juicy, intimate, connective, if that's a word, relationship with your partner. Like, how can you constantly make your partner's life feel easier? How can you make them feel like they're valued and loved in every aspect? That's when you're starting to get into coming from love versus coming from the void. The void always acknowledges what you need to get, but it never acknowledges the devotion that you will then spend on that thing, making it grow, caring for it, your responsibility to it. This even subtle shift in mindset allows you to start coming from love and really build the skills to keep up with what you've asked for. Like I said, the goal is to not just be complete of sitting on the couch doing nothing. You are an eternal, infinite being who is constantly exploring, evolving. The evolution will never stop, not even when you die. So there's not going to be a stop to the evolution while you're here. It's a continual process. And to think about it in terms of, okay, I've got to get to this point and then I'm good for life, it doesn't even make sense, because it would just be apathy to sit on the couch and say, okay, I have my partner, they're in our house. Now I don't have to interact with them anymore. They're here. That's a really great way to lose your partner, actually. That's why people lose things. They stop caring for them. Okay, I've got everything. Nothing matters. I don't have to keep up with it. It's not true, and it's going to set yourself up for failure. So before we talk about just letting go of the void completely, understand that when I say completion, I'm talking about the completion within your journey. You acknowledge yourself as an expansive being, meaning you're constantly going to learn. Even on your deathbed, you're going to be learning and expanding and taking on new lessons. It's part of your nature as a creative soul. So this will help with the mindset of thinking, okay, one thing is the cure, one thing is the solution, because really it's a lifetime of learning and a lifetime of challenge, not for the sake of just being productive, getting things done, but for the sake of exploration. Successful people challenge themselves to get better at something, to learn more skills, just for fun, to experience themselves as the learner. If you want to keep sharp, if you want to keep going, if you want to be the best version of yourself, you can never stop learning. There's never going to be a completion to any area of life. Your finances, you're always going to be learning more about that. Having better financial responsibilities, not only for yourself, but for your family and for your community. And eventually, if you keep growing in this area, to the world, you're never going to stop growing in your relationship, because you're going to constantly learn more about who you are, who your partner is, how you can improve your lives together, how you can help your family improve their relationships, eventually how you can help the world improve their relationships. You see what I'm saying? It constantly grows and grows and grows, and each level of mastery will lead you to the next level of mastery, when eventually you're not just thinking about, okay, yourself, I've mastered this for myself. Now I can start to extend that to my loved ones. Now I can start to extend that to my community. And now we can build something that extends that level of mastery to the world, and you can help others. But in order to be an excellent teacher, you have to be an excellent student. So that's an important context to come from when you talk about feeling complete within yourself. You feeling complete, it's like, okay, we're on the journey of mastery. You are where you are within your journey, and that will lead to the next level and levels of mastery. Just like any game, you're collecting XP, getting points, and leveling up. Eventually, maybe you complete the game, but you always go on to the next game. It's not like, oh, when we get to level 50, then we're good for the rest of the life. No, you always want to get to level 51, 52, because you want to just see what happens in the game. And maybe one day you complete the game, but you always start to play another game, because that's the nature of our experience as souls. So now that we've talked about that, you understand what I mean by coming from the void, that empty feeling within yourself that always says we need more, we're not enough, etc. Now I'm going to start to talk about how you can start coming from love and fill that void within yourself. Because the truth is, you feeling that void means you just don't know yourself enough yet. If you knew who you were truly, there'd be no void even possible. You're like, what is the void? I am everything. I literally am everything. I am you. You are me. We are the room. We're all made up of the same stuff at a cellular level. Like, everything is one. But we're in the human experience. We don't always experience that on a day-to-day basis. So that's why I'm here to talk about how you can start to feel that more. Honestly, the first step of letting go of the experience of feeling the void is exactly what I talked about. Knowing that you're in constant evolution. Nothing is ever the permanent solution. And you don't want a permanent solution. You want to continue to evolve. So making that shift from, oh, okay, I need this to be complete, to I'm collecting XP, I'm collecting experiences, and I'm leveling up can help you immensely. But one of the next steps is going to be looking at your stories and who the hell you think you are. If you're like I was and you're constantly seeking for that person because you feel like that's what you need to be doing to feel connected, to feel good, you need to really look at your story here. Like, when you're feeling that lack, whatever it be, for money, for the relationship, for the friend, what are you telling yourself in that moment? And who do you really want to be? When you are seeking for something from the outside, a lot of the times the story is, I'm not good how I am right now. I need this to feel better, like we talked about earlier. And so when you start to notice that feeling coming up, you can honor that feeling, because it's something that is patterned within your body. It's just an old story, an old thing, and it's part of the human experience. So you must sit with it and honor it. But without getting lost in it, how do you really want to be? This is directly tied to your self-definition, who the fuck you think you are. If at any point I'm feeling lack, I can always just remind myself, oh, I'm a divine infinite being. I'm a goddess. I'm in love with myself. I appreciate myself. Literally from the tip of my toes, up my legs, every part of my body. I appreciate myself. I appreciate my soul. I appreciate my love. I am worthy just how I am. I don't have to do anything. I don't have to say anything. I don't have to be anything. I am loved. I am loved eternally. I'm connected to source. I am abundance. Like, whatever you tell yourself. But before you can just remind yourself that, you have to figure out experientially, okay, who am I? Because it's one thing for me to say, oh, okay, you're a divine infinite soul. You have so much creative power over your life. You're like, okay, that sounds really good. I would like to believe this is true. But if you haven't experienced that for yourself, you can't relate to it. And this isn't a journey that takes place overnight. It's a subtle opening of your heart and the willingness to be with yourself. That is all that it takes, is for you to be able to love what comes up And if you can love and appreciate what's going on within yourself, you'll start to build a relationship with yourself, and you'll start to have that experiential inner love. And through that love, you'll start to experience your divinity and start to realize the oneness, the interconnectedness between you, your human experience, and everyone else, every other living being that is having an experience as well. When you experience your void, you have an amazing, incredible opportunity. It's not something to see and push away and say, oh, I'm coming from lack. Boo! You're being granted an experience. A version of yourself is feeling low and is not feeling loved. This is exactly as you, your own hero, your own inspiration. It's your job to come in to yourself, say, wow, I didn't know you felt that way. Let's hear about it. Let me hold space for you. I want to see what's going on. And I'm not saying you overindulge in like a victim story or like, it's not a mental thing at all. It's a body process. It's something that happens in your emotional body at an emotional level. It's not logical. And that's why some people get stuck at a certain spot in life, because they can't rationalize their way out of it, but it's not logical. It might be a feeling of lack that your 5-year-old self had because of a stuffed animal. Obviously, you don't particularly care about a stuffed animal, but your 5-year-old self does. And so you have to be able to hold space for that version of yourself in order to get that cellular debris out of your body and integrate your energy back again. Every single time that you are feeling a void, you are feeling a lack, it's like your past self literally tapping you on your shoulder saying, hey, I felt unloved. Hey, I felt unworthy. And that is exactly your cue and your opportunity to show up for yourself. You can sit with that experience. You can sit with that memory. You can sit with that feeling, that scary thought, whatever might come up, even if it's painful, and you can just observe it and you can say, hey, thank you for showing me that. I appreciate you, body. I love you. You can love what arises. And when you start to love what arises, you start to experience your divine nature, and feeling the void isn't a problem anymore. It's not like, okay, that's almost another way of filling a void. Once I get rid of the void, I'll feel better. Like, it's kind of ironic, but nothing has to be a problem anymore, because like I said, it's just levels of mastery. So yeah, maybe something triggers you really badly. Maybe you feel so upset. Hey, that's an amazing, incredible opportunity that you're being given to love on yourself, to know yourself even more. Sometimes I'll have things come up and be like, oh, I didn't know you felt that way. Wow, thank you for sharing that with me. And when I sit with that and I can experience that fully, even if it's slightly uncomfortable for a short amount of time, I can experience that, love that, and I feel lighter because of it. Every single time you sit with something and you love it, you give yourself permission to be a little bit more lighter. I've talked about this analogy before. It's like walking around with this heavy backpack, and a lot of people, they feel the heaviness of the backpack, and they look and they're like, oh, I don't really want to clean out the backpack. It's dirty. I don't want to do that. Let's just keep walking along. But they still feel that heaviness. Eventually, maybe you get to a point where you have to look in your bag and you're like, oh, this is uncomfortable. But if you pick out something from your bag, even if it's dirty, even if it makes you uncomfortable to talk about or think about, and you let it go, wow, that bag sure feels lighter. And then if you're someone like me, you want to dig around in there. I mean, you don't want to spend your whole day doing it, but you want to just let go of the bag, because doesn't that feel so much nicer? Doesn't it feel so much lighter? And so every single time you have something come up, it's an opportunity to experience love for yourself even deeper and appreciate your experiences in life even more. So what I'm saying is, don't resist it, because what you resist persists. And experience your divine love through just accepting how you feel. There's no point in saying, okay, I'm too cool, I never felt heartbreak. The only person you can never lie to is yourself. So just be honest with yourself and honor how you feel, because that's what will facilitate lightness. It's like what they say, the truth will set you free. Now, here comes the fun part. When you're honoring how you feel, who you are, You are living from leveling up instead of trying to feel completion. You have a golden opportunity to start coming from what you want instead of seeking it. So what do I mean by that? So say that you would like to have a little bit more finances. Say you want a little bit more love, whatever the case may be. You can start seeing yourself as the source of this. Instead of waiting for someday for that to be true in the future, you can not only feel it now, but you can extend that to other people. So let's start with just feeling it now. I'm telling you, there is no point in waiting to experience something tomorrow when you could experience it today. You have the power to experience something in your mind's eye at any point, any time. So all you have to do with that is you can close your eyes, you can get a pen out, get a paper out, write down how you would like to feel. If you had the $1 million, what would you be doing? If you had the dream partner, what would you be doing? What would that be like? Really get into the details until you feel it. If you're smiling when you do that, you know it's a goal of the heart. You know it's true. You know it's close, and you know it's genuine. That is the simplest way to start energetically aligning with it, because you'll start to feel it in the today. When you close your eyes and when you visualize it from your perspective, you'll experience it. And if you do this enough, I've accidentally created a lot of things doing that, because my thought is, okay, why wait to experience it? I'll just have it today. And then boom, tomorrow it happens, because I'm in that close to it. I'm in that much of an energetic match, because I just didn't want to wait to experience it someday. I wanted it in my now. Now, here's where it gets really fun. Now that you're an energetic match for it, you can start extending that to other people. Now, instead of seeking love, you can start being the source of love for other people. You can give that to your neighbors. If you want people to be more chatty with you, chat other people up. And if you want to get more money, start being the source of money for other people. Generously give your money. If you're wanting more attention from men or women, start being the one who generously gives attention to men and women. If you want to be approached, start approaching people. And not only do that for others, but do that for yourself. When you're doing that for yourself and being the source for yourself and for others, I promise you, you won't have any problems being on the receiving end of that as well, unless you have a problem with receiving it, because that's a whole other issue. But if you are open to receiving and you are also generously giving what you want to experience just out of love, just out of feeling an abundance within yourself. This isn't a game to trick the universe. This is literally feeling it within yourself and extending that to the world. Feeling good and extending that, you'll have everything that you want times 10-fold, because there's a constant flow. But say you're out and about and you're starting to feel that void. Sometimes it happens. You might not have the minute to just like go sit on the couch, sit with your emotions, or maybe that just sounds stupid to you. So in this case, I talked about magnetism earlier. The key of you getting what you want is always going to be feeling good. You need to know how to make yourself feel good. Like I said, that goes back to your self-definition, but also how you tell yourself your self-definition, how you give attention to yourself, how you give love to yourself. And you need to know how to make yourself feel energetically good, how to raise your own energy, so that when you do have moments of like, meh, that you can just like click, turn it back on, and you're not wasting any time in moping zone. For example, say you're out in public and you're like, I'm having so much trouble connecting with people right now. I'm just feeling this void. Like, how am I ever going to get a date? How am I ever going to talk to a person and get a friend? This energy is going to repel everyone. So you need to know in that moment, how can I come from this icky feeling that I feel within my body that other people can feel as well? How can I change that to feel good within myself? And I've talked about this in my Divine Feminine Magnetism episode. But you need to know how to raise your energy, and you need to have a list that you know, if I do these things, I can feel good within my body. Maybe it's dancing. Maybe it's a coaching tool that you learned from me. Maybe it's just repeating your self-definition to yourself. Maybe it's looking at something that makes you happy. Maybe it's repeating your mantra. Maybe it's scanning your body, breathing deeply, and feeling love within your heart and coming from your chest. Like, it doesn't matter, but make an excitement list, or make a list of things that you know that you can do, that you can feel better afterwards. In honor of transparency and vulnerability, that happened to me the other day. I felt kind of like a lack in a group setting, and I'm like, I'm not feeling like I'm connecting deeply as I want to be right now. And I noticed that, and instead of coming from that energy, I did one of the tools I know and value, and I got out of it like that. And then from that space, I was able to make the connections I wanted to make. But not only that, I was able to have a good time and relax. And instead of trying to be perceived in a certain way or talk to a specific person, I was just able to have fun and follow my highest excitement, which is always the goal. It's less about what you're actually doing, but how you are being. Because when you are coming from excitement, when you're coming from love, enjoyment, you naturally pull in the things that align with that. And it works the other way too. If you're feeling like shit, you're not going to attract the best people. I'm just being honest with you. What a lot of people experience is they end up from a neediness, putting themselves out there, trying to get a partner. And the partner that they attract, well, the partner's kind of on the same page. They're feeling really needy. They're feeling a lack as well. And they end up creating this bond together, not because they genuinely love and appreciate each other and that they like each other just for who they are, their company, but because both of them feel so lacking on their own that they need the other person. It's like parasites, and this dynamic creates codependency, jealousy, anger, and just problems that you don't want to have and that you wouldn't have if you just came from a space of enjoyment and love and wanting to actually appreciate someone, not get something. And you didn't want to get something because there's nothing that other person could possibly give you, because you already have it all within yourself. I am a divine feminine goddess that feels beautiful within herself, who has an amazing experience of life. What could you possibly give me that would fix something? Nothing. If I'm hanging out with you, if I'm around you, if I'm choosing to enjoy time with you, it's because I genuinely appreciate your vibe. It's because I genuinely appreciate you. I like the energy that comes together when we mix. And the difference that makes is I genuinely appreciate you for you, not because I'm needing something. I mean, can you imagine the difference there? What would you prefer? Someone saying, I need you because I'm lonely, or I want you because I love you. So when you feel that love within yourself and appreciation within yourself, there's nothing outside to even get. There's no such thing as a void, because what could possibly be better than I treat myself? Nothing. The last thing I'll leave you with is a question. If you already knew that you had everything, if you already felt complete within yourself, what would you do then? And that's going to be closer to the real you than seeking something that you think that you need. If you already had all the money, if you already had all the time, if you already had all of the attention, what would you do then? And when you know that, you can start to expand upon that. And that's your true purpose. That's your true calling. That's what's going to energize you. If you need a reminder, you're a divine being divine, and you are on your path leveling up. So implementing these things will help you a long way. If you want to have a conversation about if and how I can help you on your journey of self-love, aligning with your highest self and your evolution, feel free to reach out to me on my socials. My @ is always @sivas_soul. You can comment. You can keep it simple and DM me a line. But I appreciate everyone that tuned in today. I hope that this was valuable. I hope that you're able to implement some of these things. Like I always say, don't take my word for it. Try it out yourself. And with that being said, I love you. I see you. I love you just because you are. Peace and love at ya. Mwah.